Happy Tuesday. Erika Robinson here in the company of cards. Again, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe and share. I'd really appreciate all those three. I'm the author of the Language of Lenormand, the book, as well as the deck, which is Erika's Lenormand of Hope. And you can find me here as well as on Substack. And in my Substack's called In the Company of Cards as well. So today I thought I would look at a few things. One of them is a reader's question. I'll save that for a little bit. But, the election's coming, as is the debate on the 10th. I'm still not convinced that 45 will show up. If he shows up, I suspect he will demonstrate his incapacity in some way. And I've talked about that before. I'm not going to read on it again, although, I'm very tempted to, but I'm not going to read on it again. I go back and look at the other videos where I've addressed this. I am interested in the fact that we also have not just a presidential election, of course, but we have down ballot races as well. We have races for the Senate and races for the House. And so I just want to ask the overall question for each, will the Democratic Party hold the Senate? So let's look at that. I'm going to pull 6 cards on that question. If this is a yes/no spread, you can find it in my book. You can find it in my course. You can find the details on the book, the course, the deck in my About section on this YouTube channel. So I'm looking to see, will the Democrats hold the House, hold the Senate? So I have the ship in the house of the anchor. I have the birds in the house of the woman. I have the whip in the house of the mountain. And the ship is mirrored by the mountain. I'm going to say that I don't think this is a cakewalk. I don't think it's a given that we will hold the Senate. The ship in the house of the anchor looks great, looking like, well, moving forward, which a ship does, we will be okay. We will stay at least status quo, which would be to hold it. There's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about Harris and what she will do and what her platform will be. And obviously, holding on to the Senate is a big part of what will make her platform proceed. But we have this whip in the house of the mountain. I don't like this because this is about sort of what happened to Obama, right? Where Obama won, but couldn't really do anything because, the houses were not in his favor. So I think this is just a cautionary tale that, in addition to those of us who are feeling gung-ho about Harris helping that campaign, we need to be aware of the down ballot races and be just as active in electing Democratic candidates to the Senate as we are about Harris Walz, because it doesn't look like a cakewalk. So now it makes me sort of even more nervous to look at the House, because of course we do not have the House now. We've got that Mike Johnson person as the speaker, 2025, Project 2025 proponent. So I'm curious to see, will we manage to gain control of the House? So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before. Pull 6 cards and see if it gives me any kind of definitive yes, no. Or whether it kind of equivocates the way that it did with the Senate. Okay, so we have the older man in the house of the younger woman. We have fish in the house of the book. And we have birds again in the house of the star, and the man mirrors stars. I think that I think we have a good chance of gaining the house, which is important. Uh, I'm gonna just leave it there. I think we have, believe it or not, a better chance of gaining the House than we do of holding the Senate. Weird, but that's what I see. So, again, it's great to be all about Harris Waltz, but think about volunteering, giving money to, supporting, doing postcards, whatever, for these down ballot races, because they really matter. Okay. Uh, I thought about doing something about the Middle East. We know that sadly those hostages were found, but it was too late. They had been killed. We know that Hamas has now said, if it looks like Israel's getting close to the locations that we have the remaining hostages in, we're going to kill them, period, full stop. We know that, 750,000 people were in the streets uh, protesting against Netanyahu and his position, which is to not negotiate. And the last prediction I gave said that I thought, he knows there's going to be a new sheriff in town, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as my mother would have said. And that Harris will be the one he has to deal with. We know that Biden is becoming a little more hard line with him, but we also know that Netanyahu doesn't care. He said, I won't be pushed. I won't be moved. This is my position. So my last prediction was that there would not be a ceasefire before the holidays, which is to say December. And I'm gonna stick with that. I mean, granted, anything can happen, but there won't be an election if he doesn't call an election. And he will withstand the pressure of certainly a Biden, the pressure of his people, the pressure of world disapproval, we'll just call it. He is intransigent. And he's also as intransigent as Hamas is. So I think that there will be a ceasefire around the holidays, but I think that will be for a twofold reason. One is that we will have had the election and there will be, again, a new sheriff in town here, and that will give him pause. But beyond that, you've got the polio epidemic now sweeping through Gaza. And with colder weather, there will be other illnesses, and there will need to be mass inoculation campaigns. I think I'm gonna not relook at it. I think there will not be. I think by the holidays, a ceasefire will be a necessity. It won't be a choice. It'll be a necessity. So that's that question. I did want to look though at 45's tendency to either play golf and not campaign, or else campaign in places where it's not like he's going to win any new people. These are all places that already support him. In particular, I wanted to look at his reason, according to the cards, for going to what are called sundown towns to have his rallies. Now, some of you may not know what sundown towns are. People think that, the South is or was, the bastion of overt racism. But America is America and it's all over the place. And sundown towns is the name given to towns across the United States, as you'll see in a minute when I name them, where there were essentially laws in place. I mean, these were actual laws. There are other parts of the country where it's not an actual law, but people know that, you know, it might as well be a law, that there are certain places that Black people better not be once the sun goes down because it's dangerous. I lived in New Jersey for many years, and there was a town which was known as a sundown town, very close to where I lived. And I would never have been, well, I might have been caught dead there, but I certainly wouldn't have been caught alive there at night. So 45 has held rallies in Howell, Michigan, La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Johnstown, PA, Pennsylvania. None of those are southern places, right? Those are different parts of the country that you wouldn't necessarily think of as bastions of racism, but they are known as sundown towns. So, is he has he had those rallies there just because, it's a lot of Republicans and a lot of his supporters there? Or was there another reason? So what I'm going to ask the cards, because, we don't want to assume, what they say about assuming. I'm going to ask the cards, what is the rationale for 45? What is his rationale for 45 holding rallies in places that are notoriously identifiable as sundown towns? What's the message? I mean, I know what I think it is, but I don't want to assume. So let's ask the cards. So let me think about what I want to use as a focus card for this. I'm going to use birds because birds is talking and rallies, of course, involve talking. And birds, when you talk, you convey messages, right? So I'm going to ask the cards using the birds as the significator, as the focus card, the card in the middle. What is 45's intention in holding these rallies in the sundown towns? Okay, so let's see what we get. Card is deep in the deck, which doesn't really mean much, but so this is going to stand for the rallies in the sundown towns. This is the focus card. What is his rationale for having those rallies there? Okay, so that goes in the middle, taking the two cards that come right before it and putting them to the left, and the two cards that would have followed it and putting those to the right. Okay. And then I am just pulling a couple of clarifiers. Okay. So the cards that we have are the crossroads, clover. This stands for the rallies in the sundown towns, the birds. Child. The final card in the 5-card lineup here is the bear. So let me put them back in order and then read them. So first card is Crossroads, and I'm going to say that there is more than one reason why the rallies are held in these sundown towns. More than one reason. You know, you see you have multiple roads, multiple paths. Here it's he's sending out more than one message. Okay. Um, the first message I'm just going to say is the obvious one, which is that these places are lucky places for him. You know, he'll get people in the stands, not that many, but still, he'll get people in the stands as opposed to no people in the stands. And the people will be happy to see him, positively disposed towards him. They will receive him well. So that's that. Okay, in the center, we of course have the birds, the Sundown Town rallies. The next card is the child. And it tells me that, you know, the child is something new. So what is not new? Well, what is not new is that a lot of times candidates will hold rallies in places that are friendly, right? That's old hat, of course. But he's going to these sundown towns. That's something new. As a rule, Republicans, you know, maybe probably would want to avoid going to a sundown town because the message that it would give would be obvious. But this is 45 we're talking about. This is a new tactic. And what kind of tactic is it? Well, this is our fifth card. It's this kind of tactic. Remember that the bear is my card for 45. The bear, of course, as all Lenormand cards do, represents many, many things, but this is my card for 45. Beyond that, and maybe because of that, one of the meanings for the bear is a bear is a bully. I mean, look at him. He's a bully. So it's not just that you're going to a rally to, you know, drum up support and hear applause and tell people your platform. Or, those are all old reasons. The new reason is to send a message to the people who are not at the rally, like me, who wouldn't be caught dead in a sundown town in the you know the brightness of the noonday sun. But it's a message that I like the concept of a sundown town 45 is saying. I think it's a good idea. People should know their place. Um, people of a darker hue should know their place. It's bullying, you know, because on the face of it, he can say, what do you mean? I mean, I'm just here because they invited me and they're Trump friendly. And, you know, I mean, isn't that what people do? They go to places where the reception is going to be friendly. But really, again, remember, I said there's a mixed reason. There's more than one reason why he's going there. And it's this new thing of being kind of overt in their racial bullying. Okay. Now, you know, again, I don't want to assume. So what I did was I pulled clarifiers on a couple of these cards. I pulled clarifiers on the child card because, again, this is a new technique. 45 is not the first racist Republican candidate that we've ever had, but I'll leave that alone. I'm just saying this technique is new. This overt racist, more than dog whistle. Okay. So I pulled some clarifiers on that new approach and I got the house, I got the coffin, and I got the mountain. Well, this is interesting because this is an unintended consequence of this new approach. I didn't ask what will be the consequence of this new approach, but the cards are telling me there is an unintended consequence. Remember, this is the card for the White House. But look what we have, a coffin. And if that's not bad enough, it being boxed in and buried is not bad enough. We've got a mountain. There will be people who, maybe would be inclined to vote Republican, maybe even voted for 45 twice. But when they see that kind of a dog whistle, which is not even a dog whistle, it's like that alarm that goes off on your TV when it's just a warning, telling you, if this was a real emergency, that's how loud this dog whistle is. And it's going to turn people off, except, of course, for the rabid racists who will eat it up. But I think if people have any kind of humanity in them, and there are Republicans, of course, who do, they will be turned off and turned away from 45 because of this dog whistle sundown town ploy. Now, I also drew cards on this. This is that bullying tactic. This is the bully that he is. And the clarifiers that I drew are the older man, the sun, and the moon. So here's what's clear. He is who he is. An old man using a played out playbook. Because even though mainstream candidates, I guess you could call him mainstream because he's the Republican candidate, right? Don't normally do stuff like this, but he's like a vaudeville actor or a Borscht Belt comedian who his act is played out. Sundown Towns are just such an antiquated concept. He's trying to bring the concept back because he'd probably love if every town was a sundown town. So he's using this played out thing that will show people who he is. In case you were doubting it, in case you thought, I don't know, he just bumbled into these three particular towns, if you thought that he didn't know what he was doing, I was a mistake. You know what Maya Angelou said? When people show you who they are, believe them. And who he is this. Now, again, I like very much the penultimate line, the line that started with this card, which is that new tactic of using an old trope of a sundown town. And I liked seeing that here's the White House, there's the coffin, here's the mountain. He is one more time in one more way shooting himself in the foot. Okay. So, is he doing it because he's trying to appeal to his racist base? Yes. Is he doing it also to send a message to people of color and people who are allies of people of color that, sundown towns are my kind of town? Yes. But the cards have told us further, will this advance him in any way? And will this advance his quest for the White House? It will not. It's just another way that he shoots himself in the foot. Good. Okay. Speaking of 45, I had a question from a viewer. And please, I encourage you to like, subscribe, share, and ask questions. Just leave questions under the video. And if I can, if I think that the cards can answer them, I will certainly look at these questions. So the one that I had today asked whether Melania Trump is an operative for a foreign entity, foreign government. Is she, yeah, is she a foreign asset? Is she acting as a foreign asset? So I think that rather than do a yes or no, I'm going to just look at Melania and see what's going on with her. And see what comes out. So cutting the deck into 3. And, she's younger than 45, of course, but, she's a middle-aged woman. So I'm going to have her be this. And, it's Melania with a Mar-a-Lago tan. So we'll put her in the middle. And then I'm taking the 2 cards that precede her and the 2 cards that follow her. Hmm. Um, and I'm pulling clarifiers. Okay, so the 5-card line with her in it are the Rider, Clouds, there's Melania, the Tower, and Mice. Okay, so let's look at those. And then I'll go through the clarifiers. Okay, so, the Rider. Now, my Rider, I've mentioned this before. My Rider holds an olive branch. Like, don't shoot the messenger, but just pay attention to the message because that's what's important. So it makes me ask, what message does Melania want to convey? And I think it's the same message that she's always wanted to convey. It's clouds. She likes to think of herself as an enigma, a mystery. Um, she doesn't want us to know her. She likes that people can't figure her out and that it's, where's Waldo is now become where's Melania. She likes that. Uh, Also, I don't think that she isn't a foreign asset. I think that the only client that she serves is herself. Because this is the card for that. This is the card for autonomy, independence, me first, me alone. Um, don't tie me to anyone, including my husband. I am who I am. I don't really care. Do you? Remember that? Now, I also think she's really anxious and nervous. First of all, do you think she wants to be first lady again? That's a big fat no. We know she doesn't. Does she want her husband to go to jail and his money to be tied up? No. She's really anxious and nervous. But what she's anxious and nervous about is just her own fortunes. Um, Now, you could argue that that could technically make her susceptible to becoming a foreign asset if she were approached. So there is that, but I will say that to date, she is not a foreign asset. Partly because what would she have to tell anybody anyway? Right? I mean, it's not like she's anywhere near those where those documents were that he had hidden in Mar-a-Lago, but she's never anywhere near where he is. So to date, I don't see her as a foreign asset, but I did pull clarifiers. So on Melania herself, which is the central card, I pulled the sun, the ring, and the bear. I'm going to say this. She knows exactly who her husband is. She knows. Partly because, I mean, they're kind of cut from similar cloth. So none of what's going on is shocking her, surprising her, or anything like that. it worries her that he's been caught on so many levels. It worries her that, oh my God, he's running again. And, what if he gets elected? Do I have to go back into that White House? But she knows who her husband is. Okay. The tower. Now, again, the tower stands for her autonomy, her aloofness, her coldness, her sort of self-inflicted isolationism. And I have the anchor, the star, and the old man. In the future, one of the things that she's thinking about is, oh my God, like, how tied am I going to be to this old guy? What obligations am I going to have towards him? In other words, if we redo the prenup, what will that require? Do I have to, like, I don't know, have dinner with him once a week or something, or worse? Because this just feels very weighed down, and weighed down not to this powerful person whom he's been, but to this old man whom he's become. She doesn't care about him any more than she cares about anybody else. Okay, and then I pulled cards on her anxiety. What are her worries? What's that about? And I pulled the tree, the crossroads, and the young man. I would say that the one person Melania cares about, and I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know, beyond herself, is her son. And I think she is concerned for the health of her son. And if you recall, the tree, when we're talking about it meaning health, is the card for health in all forms: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health. Her son, entertainment purposes only, is kind of an odd duck. We'll just say that. And I think that Melania doesn't know how, excuse me, what kind of person is he going to turn out to be? What will he be like? I don't know that he's necessarily keeping the best company. As you can imagine, the kind of people who would seek him out would maybe not be the best people. In fact, if we're talking about somebody being a foreign asset, I think he is way more likely to be susceptible to being a useful idiot than she. And I think she worries about him a lot because she can't, pick him up and move him on the chessboard the way she has her whole life and dictate to him how his life should be and what moves he should make. He's 18 now, starting college. So I think her primary concern right now is, you know, what's he going to turn out to be like? Um, you know, I don't know what she would consider a good person. Like, did your child turn out to be a good person? I mean, her standard for that might be different from the standards of some of the rest of us. I think she has concerns about him, probably about his psychological health. That's what I think. So I don't think she is in the mood or has the inclination or the desire to be a foreign asset. She is just on her own Melania Island, looking out for number one. And again, what is her refrain? I don't really care, do you? So I don't think we have to worry about her being a foreign asset. Uh, her sorry husband, yeah. Her son, yeah. Her son-in-law, well, he's already a foreign asset, is he not? uh, Jared, entertainment purposes only. But Melania herself, I think that's one worry we can take off the plate. I do not think she is a foreign asset. I don't think she wants to be. I don't think she has the information that would be helpful to any foreign entity, really. So yeah, no, I wouldn't worry about that. So I will be back Thursday. Hopefully in the comments, there will be more questions I can answer, but if you all don't come up with them, I'll come up with them myself. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on Thursday.